Right, and let's start with the South African President Jacob Zuma. He's expected in Zimbabwe's capital a little later on Thursday. Together with his hosting counterpart, President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, the two leaders will chair the Binational Commission meeting. It's a high-level bilateral cooperation framework agreed to and established in 2015. Now, the two countries also expected to sign a range of agreements in trade and investment, as well as transport, and also follow up on an MOU signed when President Mugabe visited South Africa last year. Now then, let's go live to Harare, where there's Farai Makutuya with more data on this particular story. Farai, given how dire the state of public finances are, especially in Zimbabwe, will the authorities there be asking for any sort of financial aid, any credit line, any concessionary trading terms with South Africa?
Well, Rama, at this point in time, the Zimbabwean government will ask for and accept funds from just about anyone. In terms of a direct cash assistance, it may be unlikely. I think looking at some of the challenges that the South African economy itself is going through, given the rand and the commodity price issues around the world. But certainly what we expect to see is Zimbabwe pushing for more investment by South Africa's private sector into the Zimbabwean economy, and that would help trigger economic activity, create jobs, and resuscitate industries. You talked about concessionary trade agreements and facilities. Certainly, I'm sure that the two heads of state will look to discuss and negotiate some sort of state-backed arrangements like that. For example, a couple of weeks ago, the Zimbabwean government guaranteed Eskom, the South African power utility, that it would underwrite monies that are owed to it by Zimbabwe's own electricity supply utility. It owes money to Eskom, and the Zimbabwean government agreed to underwrite that. So we're likely to see those sort of state negotiated concessions and trade facilities that is likely to happen as opposed to direct cash assistance.
Indeed. It's very easy for those of us not in Zimbabwe to forget that the country has switched over to a multi-currency system since 2008. It's not just the US dollar that's being used in that country. But I understand the plans to entrench the rand's use even further in Zimbabwe. Tell us more about that.
Well, Rama, that certainly is an issue that has been debated quite robustly here in recent times. Those who support adoption of the rand say that it would make sense for Zimbabwe to do this. South Africa, after all, is Zimbabwe's largest trading partner, and it should make sense to trade in the currency of the country that you are doing the most business with. That would also help ease demand for US dollars and therefore ease some of the cash shortages that we continue to see here. It would also make Zimbabwean businesses more competitive because they would no longer be trading in the US dollar, which is effectively the strongest currency on the continent at the moment. However, adopting the rand would also bring with it some potential minefields. Would Zimbabweans be willingly ready to accept a currency that is not as stable as the US dollar that they've become accustomed to? Perhaps not. And also, some people say that by adopting the rand, would need to formally join the Rand Monetary Union, thereby surrendering some form of monetary policy independence, if you want to call it that, to the South African Central Bank. So clearly it is a debated issue. It's likely to come up again more prominently with this visit. But going forward, it certainly is one of the options that Zimbabwe has available to it in order to ease this very debilitating shortage of cash. Rama.
Indeed, we'll leave it there for the time being. Thank you for the update. That's Farai Makutuya live in Harare. He'll, of course, keep us up to speed with all developments from that country.